All right, let's recap. Chargers, Patriots. Patriots win 16-3 in the wild card round at Gillette in Foxborough. They were a big favorite coming into the game, certainly performed like it. And I think the biggest topic around this game, people want to give Drake May some MVP love. He was fine. Ended up making a really nice throw to Hunter Henry over Derwin James to score their only touchdown of the game. But by no means was it a good game for the Patriots on offense. The Chargers defense was a dominant unit in this game, but so was the Pats. The biggest conversation piece from this game is that Justin Herbert is now 0-3 in the playoffs as a starter. He is an NFL superstar. He's getting paid like one. He signed a 5-year, $262 million deal. 5 years, $262 million, over $250 million to play football in the NFL. And that's when the question comes, right? If you make over $250 million to play football, usually people expect you to start winning some playoff games. Now, that being said, it took Matt Stafford, 13 or 14 seasons to win a playoff game. Took John Elway a long time to win or go on a real playoff run. Took Peyton Manning some time to go on a real playoff run. Tom Brady is certainly not someone that had a normal career where he could throw for 100 yards and win a Super Bowl because the defense was dominant and he was good early on in his career. Like that's very abnormal, right? It usually takes a long time to get good in the NFL and go on a big run as a quarterback, as the franchise QB. But it was a really disappointing game from Herbert. There's no other way around it. Justin Herbert is not the problem. He is definitely not the problem at all. Two things can be true. Justin Herbert's not the problem. The O-line being incredibly injured is the problem. It was an incredible year by Herbert to even get them to the playoffs. 11 wins over the Broncos, the 1 seed, wins over the healthy Mahomes-led Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs twice with Mahomes, okay, including the opening game of the season in Brazil, when people thought the Chiefs were going to just be the Chiefs again and make a 4th straight Super Bowl appearance. Beat the Eagles, obviously, the defending champs. Like, they had some really, really nice wins this year over good teams. It was not an easy schedule, and the Chargers played pretty well against it. And to do all of that with missing Rashawn Slater, who you made one of the highest paid offensive linemen in the history of the sport, and then he hurts his knee, and he's out for the whole year, never even plays in the regular season this year. And then Joe Alt is battling through ankle injuries. Eventually gets such a bad ankle injury / sprain that he needs season-ending surgery on it. So your bookend tackles, your left tackle and your right tackle, your top 5 pick, and your guy who you just made the highest paid tackle in the history of the sport, or certainly one of them, are both out for the year. It's well noted that PFF has graded the Chargers as the worst O-line in the league, okay? The interior O-line, kind of a mess, to put it lightly. You have your 2 running backs, Najee Harris, who you signed in the offseason, your free agent prize after you let J.K. Dobbins go, hurts his eye in a firework accident in the summer, and then pops his Achilles. Not great. He basically doesn't add anything to the team. And then Omarion Hampton, your first-round draft pick, looks like he's going to be a solid player, runs violently, but got hurt multiple times this year, knees, ankles, eventually sprained an ankle, basically came in for 2 plays in this game and essentially couldn't run. Kamani Vidal, really, really unsung hero of the team. Like, honestly, he's a very good running back, young man out of Troy. He's a really good player, but he's not who you expected. He was kind of your expected RB3, some passing downs, kind of that kind of usage. And again, really good player. Hats off to him for working really hard. He was valuable in wins this year. But I'm just laying out all the injuries, right? I'm laying them all out. And what I'm getting at by doing that is Justin Herbert did not perform well at all. No one would deny that. He didn't deny that. I watched the full Harbaugh presser, the full Herbert presser. Obviously, Harbaugh was very complimentary of Herbert. Herbert was critical of himself. But for Herbert to get the blame for this loss is not great. In all seriousness, it was an incredible job just to get 11 wins and get into the playoffs with all the injuries. I think next year, when you have healthy tackles, you absolutely need to upgrade the interior of the O-line, either in the draft or in free agency. But when you have healthy tackles and healthier running backs, you're going to be in a much better position. Like, in this game, dude, the Chargers could not run the ball at all. They couldn't run the ball. Their play was like, hey, Justin, try to pass it, and if you can't pass, run it and be our leading rusher. And by the way, I think it was something like 5 of the last 6 games he was their leading rusher. Dude, they have no semblance of a running game, so much so that Herbert's scrambles are essentially their running game. Last night was not an aberration. I watch every Chargers game. That's normally how it goes, where Herbert is the running back for the team because they've had so many injuries and a bad interior O-line. Okay, so anyone saying Justin Herbert isn't clutch, Justin Herbert isn't the problem, is the problem. The Texans game last year, not good. Now, he threw 4 interceptions. 2 of those quite literally hit his receivers in the hands, bounced off of their hands, and flew into an opponent, so 2 of those weren't his fault. But I was at the Texans game in person last year. Certainly the worst game of his career, right? He was not very good, okay? Last night, it was less about Herbert not being good, and again, he missed some throws. He missed McConkey. I think he would have probably loved to give Q a couple shots downfield. Vidal kind of got loose on a wheel route. Expecting a quarterback and a running back to be in perfect sync on kind of a broken play wheel route 35 yards downfield, I don't think that's realistic, but he could have hit him. But he was just uncomfortable, man. Obviously, he had hand surgery on his left hand a month ago, so he's playing through that. But to be clear, 2 things can be true. Justin Herbert is not the problem at all. It was an incredible job, a heroic job of him even getting them to the playoffs. At the same time, he certainly could have played better and did not play well last night. They scored 3 points. They probably could have scored 17 or 20 if Herbert had a fantastic game. And he had a below average game. He did. He didn't have a great game, but that last night was basically the story of their season. He kind of wills them to the playoffs, needs some help and doesn't get it, and then they crumble. When he has more help and more support next year, they'll be much better. Here's a couple other macro things. Jim Harbaugh was asked, is Greg Roman going to be back as the OC next year? He didn't answer it. He said, I don't know. We'll have to evaluate. He basically said that for every one of his answers, but he was really, really I don't know. We'll have to evaluate. So what that tells me, reading between the lines, there's a strong chance that Greg Roman is not back next year. Now, Greg Roman has long been Harbaugh's boy. We're talking San Francisco, Stanford, was with the Ravens. And anyways, the slow ball possession approach that Harbaugh likes, I think, has helped improve the defense tremendously this year. Remember under Brandon Staley for the Chargers, it was hey, Herbert, try to make some explosive plays, and if it doesn't work, that's okay. Well, that led to a lot of 3-and-outs and or quicker possessions or scores that happened quick. And that makes it tougher on your defense because your defense is on the field a lot. Now, the defense was on the field a lot last night, but in general, the Chargers have done a really good job of possessing the ball. And possessing the ball and sustaining drives is absolutely a massive part of winning in the NFL. There's a reason that head coaches in the NFL, it doesn't matter nearly as much in college, but there's a reason coaches in the NFL love the time of possession stat. And Harbaugh loves the time of possession stat. He even literally mentioned it in his post-game press conference last night. He said we didn't do nearly a good enough job of time of possession, meaning they couldn't sustain drives. And why? Because they couldn't run the ball and because the play calling was pretty stiff. You would have liked to see Herbert connect more with Ladd McConkey and Keenan Allen on those underneath routes. Happened some clutch first downs for sure, but just not enough. And they just really couldn't run the ball. It's kind of a miracle Herbert didn't get hurt, to be completely honest. And I thought, I've seen some good rants. Dan Le Batard did a good one about how it was a disservice for the Chargers to even put Herbert out there. I won't go that far, but the offensive line is it's kind of criminal at this point. So, you were never going to win when your quarterback is getting absolutely battered. But also, if you are Greg Roman and Harbaugh to a degree, where are the adjustments? The game plan simply wasn't good enough. Where are the adjustments to, hey, our O-line's going to get beat like a drum when we put Herbert in shotgun? Where are the quick outs to Keenan and Ladd and Gadsden, the rookie tight end, who's a real nice player, by the way, 5th-round draft pick out of Syracuse? And obviously Quentin Johnston's your deep ball guy, but he even runs crossers underneath to great success at times. Where was any of that? It didn't seem like And again, the pass rush got home pretty instantly, but it didn't seem like there were any answers. Like where was the underneath stuff? So there's that. Again, certainly not Herbert's fault. The O-line is just a mess. And anyone who watches Herbert, I'm seeing Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports say Herbert doesn't have it in a big game. Like, and he says he never had it in a big game at Oregon. Dude, he quite literally won the Rose Bowl and Rose Bowl MVP in his final game at Oregon. That you basically couldn't do a better job of playing quarterback in college than to win the Rose Bowl MVP and win the Rose Bowl in your final game. Like, tell me you don't watch Herbert without telling me you don't watch Herbert. I mean, are you serious? And in the pros, man, it's like Herbert's been great, and then he's had some clunkers. The Houston game was absolutely a clunker. Again, 2 of those 4 picks literally hit his dudes in the hands. I was there. I was at the game. But, 2 of those picks were bad, and he generally just didn't play well in that game. In the Patriots game, really tough. Didn't play well either. I'm not saying he played very well, but the O-line was absolutely the problem. Like, the dead O-line, to drag the worst O-line in the league to the playoffs and win 11 games in maybe the toughest division in football or the second toughest division behind the NFC West, like, that's actually a pretty good year, man. So they need to get their O-line together. That was like watching Mahomes against the Buccaneers, where the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl just absolutely teed off on him when the tackles for the Chiefs got hurt that year going into the Super Bowl, and Devin White and the rest of the boys were just teeing off on Mahomes. It was kind of like that last night. And by the way, the Patriots pass rush isn't even that elite. Like, the Texans and Jags definitely have a better pass rush, so it could have been worse. Honestly, it seriously could have been worse. So those are the macro points, man. It's like, it's definitely not Herbert's fault, but he could have played better. I think he would agree with that. And he never takes or always takes the blame and never blames the O-line or anything. So he was, of course, gracious in his post-game interviews, basically saying, I need to play way better. And he does. And he will have to answer to the negative crowd. You're 0-3 in the playoffs, and Daniel Popper, the Athletic, asked him, like, hey, you're 0-3 in the playoffs. How are you going to kind of mentally approach that going into the offseason? And he said, I don't know yet. I don't know. And I think his answer is probably lean on Jim Harbaugh, because Harbaugh is a damn legend. Harbaugh is a legendary football coach, one of the better football coaches we've seen in the last 10, 15, 20 years. Won a natty at Michigan, did an amazing job there, was so close to a Super Bowl with the Niners, did an amazing job there, and has completely resurrected the Chargers from the dead as well, and gotten to the playoffs in back-to-back years already. But to take that next step, man, you got to find a way to win under bad circumstances, but sometimes the circumstances are just too tough to overcome. Mahomes in the Super Bowl, like, everyone's saying, oh, Purdy overcame some injuries. First of all, I love Brock Purdy. He deserves max money. Brock Purdy is underrated. He is a good, maybe great quarterback. He is very good. But that being said, he has the best play caller in sports, or the second one, depending on who you like better. Top 3 at worst: Shanahan, McVay, Andy Reid. Okay. Unquestionably one of the best college or football brains in the last 20 years as his head coach and play caller. He has an all-world running back in Christian McCaffrey, who is healthy. He has an all-world tight end in George Kittle, who, until he popped his Achilles, was healthy. I get that they've had injuries to the skill spots, okay? Trent Williams was back out there, right? They still have a really good O-line and an all-world running back, and had an all-world tight end until he got hurt in the middle of the game, which sucked. I love Kittle. He's awesome, and an all-world play caller. Don't ever compare that to the Chargers O-line with a rookie at tight end and Kamani Vidal out of Troy at running back. I never want to see that comparison ever, okay? So that's that. And I like Brock Purdy a lot. I think he's a great player who's deserving of max money. He helped them win in Philly. Great win for the Niners, no doubt about it. But I don't want to hear that Purdy comparison. But yeah, man, it's it's tough if you're Herbert. But anyone who watches the games knows that he's not the problem. It's the O-line and OC Greg Roman. And he could have been better. Could have hit Ladd McConkey in that first possession of the third quarter. Could have given Q some chances. He could have been better. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. I thought the Texans game last year was kind of if you want to call any of these playoff losses inexcusable. I thought it was last year's where he did not. It was the worst game of his career. Against the Jags, he played brilliantly for 3 quarters, and they lost by scoring 30 points. It's not his fault that they scored 30 points and lost, and he had 4 touchdowns, no picks, and they scored 30 points, and they still lost. Dude, I don't know what else he could have done in that game. Obviously, sustained more drives, but their line was getting brutally beaten in that second half of that Jags game. Last year, again, against the Texans, not great. But last night, I mean, it was so bad, just like Mahomes couldn't escape against the Bucs. I don't know how you would have expected anyone to escape against that pass rush with the bad O-line in place.